Hi everyone, this is Lori with Three Keys Astrology, as well as an advanced intuitive astrologer for Lada. You can go to AstroLada.com and threekeysastrology.com to see the services that I offer. I'm an astrology teacher, and shout out to all of my students, former, past, and current. A new wave of students are coming in, and if you'd like to join, there's open enrollment right now. So go to Ducky at threekeysastrology.com or send me an email on Lotto's website to tell me that you're interested. Pricing is available on both websites, and I structure your classes in 4 10-week modules. Each of those modules we meet for an hour and a half a week. For those of you that have the time and the energy and time to study, I'll fast track you twice a week. So let's oh my gosh, this astrology video is about springtime. This is the astrological new year, and we'll get springtime new on March 20. And these are the days of our lives. The energy at this moment in time when I'm making this video happens to be St. Patrick's Day. Shout out all the Scotch Irish and our lads and lassies from Ireland. We love you. It's part of my heritage. Such a rich, fiery people full of Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo. And if you have friends of this nature, you know that life's exciting and they want to live. And that's the theme of this video. Now, you haven't seen me in a while, and I thank you so much for those of you that have commented and are missing me. I've missed you too. But I'm a double Taurus. The North Node is in Taurus. She moved in to Taurus back on November 19. And all of we that are in this fixed cross of Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius are going through monumental and major changes in life. That's a good thing because stagnant, stuck, and still is no life at all. And while it's not comfortable, and while we, especially the 4 signs aforementioned, want to resist change, it's inevitable. And it is the stuff of life. It is the wheel of your astrology from planetary energies rolling year to year, month to month, day to day, week to week. And as an astrology teacher, I'll talk to you a lot about the cycles of time. And we're at a really incredible time. If you have survived at this point, all the tragedy that has been occurring, really, an assault on home and family, especially, began its ugly intrusions in the 60s. And it grew and it grew and it grew. And in 2008, with a housing crisis that affected where we live, who's in charge of it, who are we paying our mortgage to, and who really owns what we think is our property. Ownership's a big deal right now, and especially in interpersonal relationships. So if you want to understand society, human nature, personality, traits, behaviors, characteristics, by all means get on board. And I can tell you, this has been the most fun job I have ever had. It's an honor to read for you, meet you, and see all the magic that God made in your spirits and souls. Shaking up a little bit of pepper on this one, a little bit of sass on this one, a little bit of spiciness on this one, a whole lot of seriousness on this one. Some I can see we astrologers have our eyes in the stars and we operate in the 5th dimension. Now, why I've been missing, as life would have her way, um, things happen to us that mold us and shape us forever. The most incredible miracles of new birth and the final realizations of end of life. This dynamic is powerful and palpable right now. At the time of this video I'm making for you, it's morning on March 17th, and we're having a full moon in Virgo. She's blessed by the energy that is Pluto and Areta in Capricorn. So the energy of Saturn and Pluto is palpable, and we're seeing this in the monstrous and demonic megalomaniac who's taking life after life after life for the war in Ukraine. At this particular time, it's Lenten for we Catholics. And any of us that have faith and abide the tenets of our religion and devotions, which is really at its peak with the Sun, Neptune, Mercury, and the beautiful Jupiter high in the sky in Pisces. But this full moon dilemma, and thou shalt not kill, there is no excuse, none whatsoever, that's ever valid or plausible in your lifetime and in mine, for as long as we both shall live, for God is the creator. And mankind has no right to destroy life in any form. That's wrong. And those people will pay. There's a justice system beyond the one we live in. But I was saying that if you're alive now and you survived these multiple critical points in life and ends of life that stare us straight in the face, that have infiltrated into our own families, our children, our homes, if you've survived, you are part of the age of Aquarius, and you're part of this high calling to be a healer, to be a lover, to be a friend, to mother, to father, to care for, to protect, guide, and help anyone in crisis, whether it's socially, medically, psychologically, in the healing arts, such as astrology. It's important. And this, with every ending, is a new beginning. And I want to affirm for all of you in grief, there are so many of us. Please know, in this earthbound, gravity pulling, dense planet that we inhabit at this time and space, indeed, we are here in some kind of an obstacle course. And we don't grow unless we buck and run in and have to hurdle and are shocked into Uranian realizations of, oh my God, how did I not see this again? There's great awakening going on in Taurus, and that's a really good thing. And the measure of your awakening right now, because at this full moon conjunction, there's an opposition always between the sexes, male and female. There are more murders committed during times like this. There's more strife between couples during full moon events. And there's all kinds of babies being born when we have full moons. The full moon of Virgo is about reality. Our friends that have their 3 keys or stelliums in Virgo are realistic. They're analysts. They're some of the biggest thinkers on our planet. And this energy is palpable because it's in concert and harmony with Uranus of new beginnings and of Pluto and Areta, final endings. We can't stand and cannot tolerate these megalomanias who play God on the planet Earth, such as Putin and all of the monsters of our history that annihilated the planet. We cannot ignore that. That's strong right now. But at this full moon conjunction, the scales of our lives have to be measured according to reality, Virgo, Taurus, and Capricorn, versus the ideal, the fantasy, the imagination, the music, the otherworldly experience that we get when we take our Eucharist, when we connect to God, when we listen to music and are transported and in the vibration of love energy. Now, this is so key. I named my business 3 Keys Astrology because it's about your mind, your body, and your soul. Mental, emotional, and physical. The tenets of astrology. The very core of what is life. And what is life? It's creation. It's that magic moment when the miracle of a new birth happens. And that's true about each and every one of you. That's true about all of you, my students. Every child on the earth, your enemies, your loved ones, your family, in crisis, conflict, and dynamic tensions. That's life. You don't learn anything when life is smooth and easy. If we had no endings, such as that beginning of going back home to heaven when our physical bodies give out, we would be a very selfish, egocentric population. And yes, there are people like that on this earth. And yes, they're the most difficult people to encounter in our jobs and our families. Virgo energy at this full moon culmination is the sister of the energy that we had when the North Node moved into Taurus. Uranus popped in there in 2018. She gave us a little preview in 2017, but in big, huge ways, we're being awakened to some new realities, and that's a good thing. And so this video, and the reason I've been missing, is a very Iranian, all of a sudden experience happened in my life. For the second time, most profoundly, when way back in 1994, I all of a sudden, by sudden death, lost my very beautiful, vital mom. And she was only 15 when she had me, so I had the privilege of this young, fun, dynamic, silly, music-loving, life-loving, vital, if volare in Italian explains the energy of my mom. She had fire in her, like bright, brilliant, fun, creative, a kid. She was a kid at heart. And I love that experience. A lot of you that have young parents will understand exactly what I'm speaking about. But all of a sudden, my two sisters and I, all of a sudden, we're on this planet without our mom. And I can't even tell you the shock and electrical disconnection of the Hara line, that umbilical cord invisible that keeps us forever connected energetically to our parents. But when they leave this planet, there's a weird, unexplainable thing that happens. Now, a lot of us are going to be losing our moms. There's a lot of us losing mothers-in-law and moms and grandmoms in this energy, in this final goodbye in Virgo. But make no mistake, it's her or his new beginning if you lose loved ones. They get to go into the halls in the library of the Akashic Records. They get to review their life experiences. They get to be rejoined to their moms, their grandmas, their loved ones gone. And in our Catholic religion, this holy time that happens every year in Lenten is a time of penance, a time of self-reflection, and a time of measuring our comforts and our securities and giving up some of that for someone else. That indeed is what marriage is. And I offer you on AstroLada's channel, only there, lovers readings. And I'm doing that on purpose because you can order individual readings if you want to look at your own love nature, or you can order the compatibility readings, the lovers reading that discuss. Now, these are done in two parts via Zoom, and I consult via astrology, you should know. So if there's any beginnings or endings or love issues or major life changes that are happening in your life, I'm an astrologer all day long and all night long. In fact, God graced me something pretty incredible in my sleep the night of February 27, and I met a Jupiter return with Neptune, Jupiter, the Sun, Mercury. There, the energy of Pisces is palpable, which sextiles my Sun and Moon. So all of you that have Taurian planets, Pisces is blessing you. He's washing clean and blessing the earth, like I've been saying since last summer. In a big way, God is washing us. And we have to measure comfort and security by that very theme. How comfortable are you? Are you is Uranus, Pluto, and the moon saying it's time for a new home, time for a new job, time for a new chapter? Yeah, March 20th is spring. It's a brand new year. And rolling in cycles for time immemorial, we have beginnings and endings, so do not be afraid. All of a sudden, in my life, two people that I love more than words can say have been modern day parents to me. They're not my parents. They're actually my cousins by marriage. And I love them more than I can explain, and I kind of want to cry when I think about the love story that I am witnessing right now. They're in their 70s, 73 and 75, and I know that you have these moments in time too. And at the end of January, we got a prostate cancer diagnosis, and my beloved cousin, who's been like a father to me, doing things that dads do for daughters, like fixing faucets and giving them snow shovels and loving you up like a dad loves a daughter. And I've been blessed to have this so strongly since last summer once again in my life. Although I met them when I was only 14, when I met my would-be husband and father of my children. Our love, and our shared experience are numerous. And when you get older, you'll realize it's difficult to talk to people born after you or new friendships that didn't know the family members that you knew when you were little, because those people aren't with us anymore. And this is a story about love, guys. And I ask you to please comment below so that people that are having any difficulty feeling lonely, frozen, cold, outside of circles, lost without love, or grieving love that they had for lifetimes. I ask you to put in the comments below 3 things that you can think of that show love energy. It's real strong right now. Pisces are dreamers, Tauruses are lovers, Libras are lovers. And in this love story, well, we had this death-defying um, prostate cancer diagnosis. Um, and it was more impactful because my cousin's family members died of cancer, all of them. And we love him. And on the morning of his surgery, which scared me more because of COVID-19, doctors are only doing emergency surgeries. And we had a rise in it. Jupiter and Neptune together can mean a rise of infection, but it can also mean a rise of cure. And so on the morning of the surgery, I prayed, called him on the phone, and said, "Cousin, can I pray with you?" And there was something in my body that was urging me to ask to speak to her, his wife, my cousin, who's 73, who I love more than words can explain. She's a Gemini, so fun and so funny, who always likes to go places with me, who has her Kindle in her hand, and we talk protagonist and literary genius and share authors. And our lives from the moment we met each other were instant friendships. And I didn't, because they were on their way to the hospital. And I was blessed that day to have 2 other of my friends here with me. And my love for them is monumental. But and Colleen was my very first friend when I was only 3 years old. And God put this sweet little blonde-haired angel. Her hair was halo blonde. And I needed a friend really badly at age 3. And there she was. And in this horrible time in my life, my father stole my little sister and me away from our very young mama. He was older than my mom and much more aggressive than my mom. And their love story was as tumultuous as Taylor's and Burton's, as Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's, is catastrophic for my sister and myself and our grandparents in the family, as is Kardashian and West's dilemma right now. And all of it speak to the stars. The stars tell the truth. And there's no bigger time teller than Saturn, by the way. Ultimately, he'll tell you the truth. Age will tell you the truth. And in this love story that I'm about to share, on this day on February 11th, I woke up delighted because my friends were coming. We were going to get to be together. We had a really nice lunch together. We shopped for groceries together. We hugged and we kissed and celebrate still yet, uh, for myself and Colleen, a relationship that is indeed 57 years old and growing and connected and close. And when my cousin got the surgery date, which scared me because they were hurrying up. There was no fooling around. This wasn't delayed because of COVID. It was get in there right now and see what's going on. He had 3 malignant tumors. And I said to my cousin, "Do you want me to go with you?" And she said, "No, I'll just read my Kindle, but thank you, that's okay." And on that morning when I said that prayer, this belly feeling, because you have as many neurons in your belly as you do in your brain, rose up in me in a volcanic rise when I wanted to say, "Could I speak to Denny?" And Denny, while it's a masculine name, is her name. And she is such a Gemini. But I didn't, out of politeness, because they were going to the hospital and they were going through these fates. Now, I can tell you emphatically that this kind of love that I'm going to explain to you is otherworldly. It is holy. And And she's not. She doesn't go to church like I do. She doesn't have the same kind of faith that I do. A lot of Geminis don't. They want to see it to believe it. They need reality. You've got to prove to them in reasonable, rational ways. And it's very hard for them because they're in the mutable cross with Pisces who easily connect to spirit. And with my Jupiter in Pisces, that's never been a problem. I'm a dreamer. I'm a lover and a dreamer, and I have such love for the Holy Spirit, for God, for our Mother Mary, but she doesn't. And that's okay. It's not that she doesn't go to church. She questions all of that in a very rational, realistic way, like the twins Mercury of heaven and hell would. And so I didn't. But I said to her, please call me as soon as he's out of surgery. And so my friends were here with me and we were going to lunch. And I remember looking at the clock at 1 o'clock. I'm an intuitive. I can't help it. I was born this way, but by a tragic accident, the powers are even stronger of my intuition and my sentient psychic soul. And I looked at the clock at 1 o'clock, and my friends were urging, especially Colleen's husband, let's go have lunch. And so we left. And at that moment, when I looked at the clock at 1 o'clock, I wondered why she hadn't yet called. So we had a wonderful lunch. We got groceries and had fun together, hugged and kissed, and the joy between the three of us is incredible. We have many shared experiences like I pray that you have with your friends and family. And as I unlocked the door, the phone was ringing, and I came up the stairs and shocked. Uranus shocks, like the day of sudden death. The Uranian bolt of lightning struck my sweet young mommy. She was only 48, and my children never got to know their grandmother the way my sisters and I did. And that all of a sudden disconnection of the electricity in the heart, the way my mom all of a sudden was here one moment and then gone. And I know many of you experienced that, and I'm so sorry. At my youth, I was only 31, it was so impactful that I didn't understand, that I would later understand when friends of mine lost their parents in these lingering, long, agonizing, slow deaths. Maybe because my Aries is in dignity at the top of my chart, my Mars is in Aries, and maybe because I had such fiery parents, and maybe because my bloodline are so fiery, and we Italians and Irish often die sudden death, and that's not a coincidence. That's biology, that's chemistry, that's astrology, that's spirituality. And I realized later that maybe that's better, that all of a sudden she left this world and she was in the spirit world. And so tell me how you think about that. Do you think about that? A lot of us are going through that. So back to my cousins. The phone was ringing and I picked up the phone expecting it to be Denny, but it wasn't. It was Ronnie who had just undergone surgery. I said, Lori, we have a situation. The helicopter had to starflight Denny to the ICU unit. And I was, again, the shock and disbelief and wonder when my cousin, at that moment, at 1 o'clock, when I looked at the clock, suffered a Uranian tragedy. She had to be given blood on that helicopter. She had to be intubated in that helicopter. And she was flown to a state away from where we all were. And I couldn't believe, because I expected him to be under the haze of anesthesia, which is Neptune and Pisces. And he's got a lot of that energy. And she, as idealistic and dreamy and otherworldly as he is, he's a Libra with a lot of Piscean energy. Then he's the realistic, rational one, the Gemini. And in this twist of fate, he that just had prostate surgery was now in this dilemma. And I said, whatever you need, I'm there for you. And we had high wind warnings that day because in March, make no mistake, the winds have changed low. Why? Because it's the ending and the approaching of the spring equinox that we'll have March 20. And we jumped in the car and shared some very personal things that were physiologic from someone who just underwent a surgery on the way to driving into what felt like Armageddon. We didn't know. The winds were whipping. He has an SUV that I was driving, and tears rolling down my 75-year-old cousin's cheeks, and me trying to be that strong bull of a Taurus, holding all the responsibility on my shoulders of getting us there, but not knowing what we're gonna see, and holding his hand and trying to keep my hand on the wheel, and hadn't driven that trip in, God, 20 years. And it wasn't a nice day, and we were scared. But I had to be strong, and the love in me, the Venus ruling my sun and moon, is very stoic and very strong, and I have a Saturn in dignity as well, which is stoicism and strength and facing sudden things. And I will never forget as long as I live, and I was traumatized for over a month because when we arrived at the hospital because of COVID-19, people are not even allowed to be meandering in the hospital. And we went in, and I asked for a wheelchair for my cousin who was bleeding from his trousers from just having had surgery, who was very weak because he hadn't had any food for the day before and the day before that in the preparation for the surgery, terrified with tears rolling down his cheeks. And the front desk said to me, only 2 people are allowed to be in the ICU. And I said, well, it's not me. I drove my cousins. My cousin was star flighted in here at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And on the way, the ER trauma surgeon who received her came through the Bluetooth technology on the vehicle and started to ask questions. And because I'm a traumatic brain injury survivor, I'm someone who went to college and took classes like biology, forensics, chemistry, anatomy, and physiology. I was fascinated with the human body in 5th grade, and I've never stopped learning, and I'm still learning. And because I had a traumatic brain injury and a crushed spine, neck to pelvis, I know the danger of paralysis in the neck. My neck's been reconstructed. I have artificial discs in there. I have rods holding my hips off my ribs, and I have a plate as big as a dinner plate holding my pelvis together. But by God's grace and miracle and new beginnings after a tragic 16 years of being reborn in so many ways, I walk. So the traumatic surgeon says to my cousin, who did not go to college, who is 75 for the love of lemons, and who is not schooled, has there been anything unusual going on with her? She asked. And she asked where we were. And he said, we're about 15 minutes from the hospital. And she said, I want you to get here safely. It's not nice for driving out there, and I know that you're upset. Um, but we had to give her a blood transfusion. Do you want us to keep her alive? And he said, absolutely. And she said, I'll talk to you when you get here. And she said, her neck is broken. And I freaked out and said, is she paralyzed? And it was a blunt Uranian talk which nearly catapulted him out of the driver's passenger side. Because I know, because my own injury, I was with 1/4 of an inch of paralysis for the rest of my life, for where my vertebrae were fractured, where my neck was broken. And she said, we don't know yet. Her arms are moving, but her legs are not. And it is in our neck where paralysis happens by blunt force traumas and injuries, such as I had and such as what we were going to be experiencing. But I can't tell you the horror and shock because my cousin is the husband of his wife that was in this trauma situation and star flighted to these amazing intensive care doctors and nurses. They said, you can go. And I said, don't put me on the list. Her sons, who live in different states, were trying to fly in, and one couldn't because only 2 people could be with her. And that was going to be the length of her stay, which was a very long time in the ICU. And I'll never forget, as long as I live, what I saw. I have been in waiting rooms at the ICU, but I've never been in the ICU. And for the next 3 weeks, walking around in my own home, tears were pouring out of my face because these 2 people that have been like parents to me were in big trouble. And what the consequences of that sudden accident would be were still a mystery. But the good story, part of this story, guys, is that about a week ago, she walked. She's not paralyzed. Her neck is broken, though, and she can't get up from a standing position, and she's talking. Her memory by concussion and the accident is still significant with memory. I know a lot of you go through things like this, and I gotta tell you, we need to appreciate more those people that come in crisis, those people in the helicopters, those pilots, those nurses and doctors that aren't afraid in our emergency rooms. They're the guardian angels that are in that gateway between life and death when we have such critical things happening in life. And I just want you to know, she sounded, and I know this happened to me personally too, when your brain waves are slow and there's disconnections in your neuronal connections, her voice had dropped down 3 timbres and were very slow speech. I also experienced this. I should say my family members experienced this in my own tragedy. And it was, I know, subconsciously bringing all that back up too, and being afraid that I was losing a mom and a dad again, although cousins. And that why would these two people that are so lovely that each cared for their ex-spouses at the end of their lives? And what kind of people do that? Heavenly people. She's now in a nursing home recovering. She's got a long way to go. Both of her hands broke at the accident, so she can't dial. And she's Gemini, remember. They use their hands. They love to do crafts and arts. They love to read. She couldn't read. Her glasses were smashed. Her brain distorted. This sudden Uranian experience when it was he that we were all praying for and worrying about now is both of them. And the fear and the tears and not unconscious, subconscious coming out of me, someone who's very emotional, so emotional. I'm an infant when it comes to emotionality, although almost a 60-year-old woman. And I'm witnessing now a love story better than The Notebook because he stepped up like he always has. This is the love of his life. And together they have 4 children and they have grandchildren. And they have so many of us friends that love them and family members that love them and had so much fun with this couple. And he won't leave her side. And he's been beside her as have been her sons. And that's the Saturn truth of time. Saturn rules time and Saturn's the ultimate truth. And this ending of life that's been so big for so many of us because of the pandemic and all this unexpected, sudden, mysterious, in a Piscean way, this floating around virus that we can't see, and all of the consequences that come from that are what this love story is about. So I don't mean to drone on, but I'm witnessing the best love story and the prettiest marriage in crisis for 2 people in their 70s that have given so many of us so much love, joy, care, comfort. And I want you to know that that's what this video is about. At this full moon time, with Virgo moon being blessed by Venus and Uranus and Pluto, Saturn, is talking about our love bonds. And this new beginning is a celebration of that love. So please don't forget to comment below and talk about how in everyday ways you can emphasize and build that love energy. If you are alive, you're part of the healing culture to change those old-fashioned ways of being greedy and taking from other people their hard work, or taking too big a portion of the work that they're doing because of your own inability or your own inequity, I should say. At this penitent time of Lenten, where we get our new birth at Easter, we Catholics, we're celebrating a resurrection of being better people. And we're celebrating the gift of life that God gave us. So that if you're still alive, while in grief, while suffering, while feeling stuck or in trouble, or suffering endings, I assure you, with every fiber of my being, that I have read now over 7,000 people. I have taught some of the most incredible human beings that are on the precipice of being healers. So come and be an astrologer. Go back to school and be that psychologist. Go get your nursing degree if that's been niggling at you. Go be the doctor. Go be the healer. Rush in for those masses that need us with Red Cross and all those charitable organizations that are all Piscean, that are the counterbalance of reality. People are without homes more now than ever in life. People are suffering the destruction and hells in all the war-torn countries. And it is not just Ukraine. It's been going on in Cuba, Venezuela, in a lot of these third world countries forever. Colombia. Right now, in time and space, you have the power to be a great lover, to get up every day with a purpose to be a love and to make a difference in phone calls, in reality, situations like helping people get groceries that don't have it, by pulling together in neighborhoods to save our gas shortages and store up on those pantry goods, to grow your own food. This is all Uranus Taurus. And this is North Node Taurus. And that North Node and that Uranus are ruled by Venus, the goddess of love. And I can talk to you all day long about love. That is the nature God gave with me. You don't need to be anywhere where there is not love. And it's measured by the security that you feel with others and the comfort that you have with them. This lifetime doesn't have to be this big, huge obstacle course of struggle after survival, although those are the themes right now for the whole wide world. This is about love, and there is no more powerful force on this planet than love. That's why I brought those lovers' readings out for you. Come with me. Let's consult. Let's talk about the measure of the love between you and the one you're with. Are you ready for changes? Is the universe forcing a change because you've outgrown each other? I mean, this is what's going on right now. Now, when we look at the case of Kanye and Kim, it couldn't be more literal on their charts about what's going on. He's the softer of the two, but they're both connected so much between her Libra sun and his Gemini sun. And it's erratic and it's ridiculous and it's struggle, but it's all about the kids, guys. And I told you when we did the astrology marathon, Black Moon Lilith is infiltrating in a big way the lives of mothers and children, and we need to protect them. We Taurians know this. There's nothing more sacred than motherhood and the miracle of giving life, of a pregnancy. And you can take that literally, you can take that historically. Creation themes are happening all the time. There's blossoms blooming. I have 9 deer that I'm taking care of in my backyard where I'm going to get to see brand new baby fawns really soon, just like you. New birth is what spring is all about, and that's starting March 20th, right after this beautiful full moon. Now try to get outdoors because a full moon for 3 whole days is going to be full in the night sky. Look at it and relish that moon energy of creation, new beginnings, fresh starts. You can fall back in love with the people that you're married to. If life's been nothing but struggle and strife and reality checks, start showing them love again. And what will bloom is going to be only love and the blossoms of that new loving energy. Now, I brought this little, in the background, you can see that sweet little heart strung by my pearls of gold in the background. I have a very loving, I've got a lot of Libra relatives, and God made our tribe so Taurian and so Libran in my family and in my husband's family when I was married. And we brought forth in creation children, daughters. And from those daughters, I have another little Libra. One of my children brought me a little sweet little Libra who's always very concerned about his grandma. And in the background for Valentine's Day, I have a love note from him. And I get lots of love notes from him and from my daughters that are loving. And I want you to share that too. I brought this picture because I love me. I've kept this wine bottle for ages and ages because I don't know about you, um, but I love to buy wine because wine is life. It's story, and maybe it's my sensual Italian nature, but the vine of life and the vines and trees of our family and descendants and um, inherited ancestors is what is love. It's the power of love. Two people came together and made your family members. And don't underestimate the power in that, and don't let anyone ever destroy what God has made, just like we take in marital vows. So in French, this is La Vie Fermée, and that's called the old clothes. And you can see a little chicken and a little rooster here. What do? They make brand new eggs. My Three Keys Astrology group is, my kids have called me Ducky for years, and I like it. Because little baby chicks follow Mama Ducky, and because new creation is in the egg of creation. And I want to help break you out of your shells, and I'll do that. I'm a great catalyst and always have been of energy. I'm a Reiki healer and a really, not to brag, but a great astrology teacher. If you need recommendations, my students will tell you. that the way that I teach is very fun and really interesting, and you'll be learning so much without even really knowing it. There's not a lot of homework. It's not boring PDFs after PDFs. So la vie fermée. You've been going through, there's not a lot of fire energy right now, so energy is really predominant earth and water. And that is getting rid of yesterdays that are material in the material realm. Those clothes you've been hanging on for 20 years, those closets that are bulging, those attics that are bulging, those cellars. Purge, purge, purge. In a Catholic sense, that's what we're doing when we give penance. We're facing it with self-reflection, our egos, and saying, and egos are earth energy, and they're fire energy, and they're know-it-all energy, and they're megalomania energy that Putin's exemplifying right now. And he's a killer. Make no mistake, there are monsters among us. And make no mistake, we are in a world war because everybody's backing off and not giving him the no-fly zone, afraid he's going to point his missiles at the next country. Make no mistake about the hidden Piscean things that are going on, but make no mistake also that underneath in that complex between Virgo and Pisces, Putin doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know how many people are standing up and going in and risking their own lives to stand up with this incredible president in the Ukraine who says, just leave us alone. We want to be free. No more prisons, which are Plutonian and Saturnian. So the reality checks are huge. The fire energy is not great. If you're feeling tired, you're normal, especially Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius. Right now, you're supposed to use your high mental energies to bring in your new springs. That's for all signs in the zodiac. Pisces and Virgo, if you're married to partners that share those signs predominantly with your three keys or stelliums, you're wondering whether you belong where you are. And that's okay. It's okay. And the measure of that, again, comes to comfort and security. So on the scales of opprobrium, you can say, do I feel loved? Do I have security? Or is God and all of these events and all these situations and my intuition propelling me in a Uranian way to a new beginning? Have we outgrown each other and it's time for us to explore? Have I outgrown my job? You don't have to be the same person you were when you got your degrees. It's quite all right, especially all of you with the Uranian opposition in your midlife. It's okay to go have a new career, to learn something new. Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces with the sun shining on it and Mercury exactly near Uranus is saying you can switch careers. You don't have to be bound and stuck in something that you learned 40, 30, 50 years ago. Remember Louise Hay? She was 50 years old when her enterprise exploded. So somebody's holding you down, somebody's being stingy, somebody's trying to take from you your creative energy, your sunshine, and your joy. Uranus is setting you free. Go see Riding Lightning and a Fire Snorting Bull on my channel. And I gave it to Lada's channel as well on YouTube. This dynamic is palpable, although I made it in 2020, 2 days after Christmas for the coming year's analysis. It's still appropriate, especially for Leo and Aquarius, Taurus and Scorpio for the next 2 years. And wherever you have planets there, big, huge changes are rolling in. And if you need that analysis, that's my jam. That's what I do. So never forget that love is the most powerful force on earth, that Uranus is the planet of pure, unadulterated truth, and you'll feel uncomfortable and destabilized or ejected when you're at the wrong place and not following your nature and your God-given potential and natal promise. Remember that there is no bigger reality check than Saturn and Pluto, all this annihilation, destruction, and demolition, where someone brings hell into your life, because where Pluto is in your chart, that's indeed what that is. This earthy energy in the trine between the moon, Pluto, underlying Saturn, Uranus, underlying Venus, and the moon, our feelings, our homes, our lives, protection, and the father, mother energy from heaven saying everyone deserves a home, everyone deserves to make their own decisions, everyone deserves peace on earth, goodwill to men, and love. Most importantly, love. So measure your truths. Are you with a partner that's going to show a love story like that's illustrated in the notebook that I have gotten to witness in a miracle of life at this sudden and tragic, life-threatening experience in a helicopter at an ICU unit with a family member whose face looked like she'd been beaten, who is suffering a broken neck, broken hands, and a disorganized brain. Think about that and measure your life to these new cycles in time. These new beginnings are gifts, guys. And anyone has the power of love. Anyone. So I'm going to leave you with this video. I'm sorry it was long. It's been a long time since we've talked. There's no excuse for greed, stinginess, gluttony, power mongering. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for any of the 7 deadly sins. There's no excuse for denying the 10 commandments. There's no excuse for mania in wanting and taking things that don't belong to you. Black Moon Lilith in Gemini, soon moving into Cancer. So if you're trying to take someone's kids away from them, you're not God. If you're trying to take separating children from parents, again, you're not God. And that's not love. You're involved in Plutonian power struggles and Saturnian themes of death. Make no mistake, Saturn rules death, and he's got Grim Reaper energy. And if you're killing somebody, mind, body, and spirit, it's still death. If you're taking life from the joy of a child, the people who work for you, you're still being a despotic and domineering, cruel human being. Make no mistake. So I encourage you to have some strong self-reflection and face your demons and face your power issues and face how close you feel to God. In a funny little twist, I want to tell you, my cousin, the first few conversations made me weep because her brainwaves are so slow in that speech. But in a couple of weeks, she was getting her prosody and timbre back. And I said to her, she said, "Lori, I want you never to forget how much I love you." And I never will. She's shown it to me since I was 14 years old. And that's a long time since I'm almost 60, and she still does it daily. I can't look or walk anywhere in my home without knowing, feeling, seeing the love that she's given me. I wear the slippers she got me. She got me this cute pink toolbox that a company for breast cancer made for women. It's cuter than ever. It's a little handheld tote with pink tools, a pink hammer and wrench and screwdriver. I mean, she just delights me. I think about her in all my days. And measure your company that way. If you have people that are pulling you down by gossiping or trying to bring up the most horrible things that you've ever gone through, it's time to eradicate those friendships. Do you feel good when you're around them? Or do they feel good if they're putting down what hurts you? Because that's not friendship. And if they're finding some kind of delight in what made you weak. And the other thing about new beginnings and springtime, new equinoxes and blossoms and bloom and new life, hang out with your springtime born friends. We have a youthfulness about us that's lifelong. And disregard and don't spend your valuable time with people that have fun about what hurt you. And if somebody's trying to yank you back to the past, that's Plutonian pulling you down. If they want to talk about what hurts you, that transports your mind back into time. And if you're stuck in the past, or you have family members that are trying to pull you back there, that's no different than the energy of Pluto reaching up from hell and pulling Persephone down, an innocent young girl that he raped and stole her purity. Because the whole world went dark when that happens. And make no mistake, those so-called friends or those trolls on the internet or those nasty people that try to pop into your life need to be eradicated. Getting pulled to the past, unless it's with love, has no place for our new future in the Aquarian age. And anybody that's trying to bring you down and pull you into hell or put you down or disregard you or try to pull you into their megalomania and their depressions and their problems and their maniacal thoughts, you don't have to go there. That's your Uranian aha moment to say, see ya. Maybe you had a time in the past with shared joy, but it isn't fun anymore. And maybe every time you meet them, they make you feel really badly. You have that reptilian brain and that intuition in your guts for a reason. And Uranus is setting you free. So especially all of you Taurus that are around anybody that's very scorpionic and dark and stalkerish or thievy or Black Moon Lilith like, it's time. Uranus is saying it's sunshine time. I have a video on my channel called Sunshine Lemons, Egg Yolks, and Astrology. Mark my words, 99% of the illness in health comes from the relationships you have with other people. Yes, cancer. Yes, diabetes. Yes, heart disease. Make no mistake. You're a spiritual being in a physical body that cannot help but corrupt and corrode around Pluto and Saturn and others. Make no mistake. And then indulge sunshine fruits and lemons and sunshine and joyful, sunny people like the fire signs are, like sweet Libras are. And that's going to be a brand new beginning for you. And I'm glad to help you. Come and consult with me. It's $100 of your time. You want to do it once a week, you want to do it twice a week. I have clients who do it once every week or 3 times a month or twice a month. I will consult you. My eyes see beyond veils, beyond ego, beyond suffering, beyond grief and depression. I love this work. I love to teach you. So if you want to learn astrology, I don't normally like to start new classes in the summer, but I'm honoring this springtime new where you can have a career that you make a lot of money that's very fulfilling and enjoyable. And it's my great honor to do that for you. So I'm going to leave you knowing, want to talk about lovers before we close this meeting. And that is the great lover Elizabeth Taylor had an affection with Richard Burton, and she had Libra at the top of her chart. And the great songwriters, Bruno Mars has a prominent Libra um, energy, Sun in Libra. This cellist that I love, Luka um, Silic, has Croatian cellist, has such love energy. Our great songsters and songwriters, all of us that are in the creative arts that love to sing, play music, perform, write stories, write novels and plays, and the producers. The energy's amazing for us for a while longer. So indulge your imaginations and listen to spirit when you're sleeping. God gave me an incredible gift, and upon waking, the night of February 27th, I actually said, I said, thank you. I was still talking to spirit when my body was waking up. And holy crow, you wouldn't believe what he gave me that I'm working on and perfecting, and I will share with the whole world pretty soon. Um, and the miracle of the love story and the tragedy Iranian that happened to my cousins, and the love that he's by her side every day, night and day, sitting by that hospital bed when she wasn't even aware that he was here, when she was between worlds and being medicated and anesthetized by the broken neck, hands, brain. And he's by her side every minute, spending his love, showing his love that they've had a marriage of almost 34 years. And the funny thing I want to tell you about my Geminian Denny is that when she talked and she said, Lori, never ever forget how much I love you. I never want you to forget how much I love you. In a weird premonition, each time she was with me, um, um, coming to that point of that tragic day and that accident, she kept saying, you're the last person I want to be with when I die. I can't live without you. Please never forget how much I love you. I love you, Lori. And man, that's easy to glow in energy like that. And it's easy to be filled with light with friends like that. And I've got that in spades. God gave me the best friends filled with hearts and joy and fun experiences. And the friends that I have and the people that I've read for and the students that are coming in like droves for me. I want that for you too. And when you work in the spiritual dimension, it just happens. You're filled with sunlight, starlight, love light. And she said to me, so cute, like the Gemini she is, when she said, Lori, never forget how much I love you. Never ever forget how much I love you. And I always have from the day I met you. And I said to her cousin, I love you too. And I said, I've been praying for you 3 times a day. And she said, don't overdo it. So I'm going to leave you with that. All you Geminis can relate to that reality and how you feel about religion, God, and needing proof in your incredible reasoning skills. But never forget those lovers readings either. Come on in and get them. They're so fun. We Zoom twice and we take a look at whether the dynamic in your love relationship is where it needs some polishing and kissing, where it needs some forgetting and releasing, where it needs anything that it needs. I'm here to share my eyes and vision with you. And I love you very much, all of you that have come flying into my life. I love you, Lada, for having me come into part of your team. And oh my God, I love you, my students. You've become my friends. And I look so forward to meeting you in real time because I have students on every continent. And although there's endings in this world, by the light of the full moon, please know the truth. The truth. Have reality checks and choose to wake up in the morning and bound out of bed when the sun rises. Alive. Get in line with the sun. Rise alive to go do your purpose in little teeny loving ways. Virgo moon. Bye for now. I'm Lori with 3 Keys Astrology, an advanced intuitive astrologer on AstroLada.com. Sending you so much love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Lots of kisses. Go have a love story with someone. And it can be your grandchildren and your children, even though they're adults. And you can fall in love with nature and sunsets and sunrises and big, big nature. It's all around us. There's so much life all around you if you'll just open your eyes and see it. Bye for now.